Scary. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Obviously you can tell that I am continuing on with this Halloween type thing that we've got going on. I think I should probably remove my glasses because like there's so much reflection on them. Oh shit. Oh honey, my computer's doing scary shit. It knows, oh my god. As you've probably realised, I am in a completely different background, but not that different because all I've done is kind of moved over into the corner of my room. But the reason for that is because I am generally scared about talking about what I'm about to talk about, and I do not want my back up against nothing, if that makes sense. I need something behind me so that I don't feel like I'm constantly having to look behind what's going on. It's a little bit darker today, a little bit more spooky, because we are going in depth into the paranormal, the unspoken, well actually no, it's quite spoken about, but the unspoken dark side. Dad! Stop banging around! What we're going to be doing today is basically talking about my, let's say, paranormal activity experiences that I have had. And many of them have happened in this exact room. And let me just tell you, I've just noticed that shadow behind me and it's freaky as fuck. So that is why I'm generally scared about talking about this, because I don't want to be upsetting any spirits that may be living in my home, because that is the last thing you want to do. So I'm just going to be putting a disclaimer out there in my room for anyone that may be listening right now. I'm not doing this to hurt your feelings. I'm generally just doing this for my YouTube. I'm going to link below my last video I put up last Sunday, just about basically my family's experiences with paranormal activity. So if you want to go check that out, I will link that down below. But obviously today and my next video is going to be all about me, as per usual. So now we've got the lights dimmed low, we are going to start this little story. So in my life I seem to attract many odd things, let's just say it that way, and for some weird reason, I genuinely don't know whether it is just because my family have had contact with people in the afterlife, or whether it is just my luck. Before I start talking about what may have happened in this exact room and this exact house, I'm going to be taking you back to when I actually lived with my mum. And this one experience I remember very vividly. It was very weird and odd. My bedroom in my mum's house was facing right opposite the stairs, and then my brother's and my mum's room, so my mum's room would be on the left of me and my brother's on the right. One night I was walking past my mum's room and something really caught me in the corner of my eye, but I honestly thought it was just my mum in her bedroom with the lights off. Like, it's nothing unusual, like sometimes you run into your room and you grab something, you're not going to have to turn all the lights on to grab that thing, if you get what I mean. I didn't really think anything of it until I got downstairs. So I got downstairs and my mum was in the kitchen, and I kind of thought, oh, it must have been like her boyfriend or my brother or something. And then I looked and they were both sitting on the sofa. Basically, I screamed and I jumped onto the sofa and I started shaking because I'd just seen someone in my mum's room and everyone I knew was in the house was downstairs. So after this, everyone was like, what is going on? So I told them what had happened, and my mum's boyfriend obviously went straight upstairs to go and investigate, but he couldn't see anything. There wasn't anything unusual going on. I also saw our missing cat, Belle. She went missing a few months before that, and basically I saw her in our bedroom, so I ran downstairs to go tell Mum, like, oh my god, she's come back, and like, I don't know how she got in the house, but she's back. And basically when we went to go look for her, there was no sign of a cat. Now, I also just want to add that I actually live right next to a graveyard at this point. So my bedroom actually looked out on the graveyard, and if anyone knows where I live, I'm not going to say where I live because stalkers, do you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm that good to be stalked, but anyone who knows where this Sainsbury's is, where I live, they will know what graveyard I'm talking about. And my house was one of the houses that looked out on the graveyard. So I was constantly scared all the time, because who the fuck wants to look out their bedroom window and see a graveyard? After that, I didn't have any experiences in that house again. Not that I remember or I recall, until I moved into this house. So like I said, and like many people do know as well, I've had many different experiences in this house, some very scary and very real. Some things I don't know whether it was actually someone trying to connect or contact the other side, but all I know is that it was freaky. In my bedroom I have a dialed heater, and basically this controls all the heating throughout the house. And what this is you basically just turn it and you hear a click, and then a red light will come on just to indicate that you've turned the heating on. One night me and my boyfriend were just laying in bed, and we were like, right, let's turn the lights off, let's go to bed kind of thing. But it was just us two in the house, so we turned the TV off, we were about to go to sleep, and all of a sudden I heard a, like, that is what it sounds like, can you hear that? And I thought, that was the heating. I looked at the heating light and it was red. Someone had just turned it on, but neither me and my boyfriend got up to turn the heating on. The dial then turned itself off again, and on again, and off again, and the light was flashing on and off. We were stuck in my bed shitting ourselves, and we literally we left my house and we went and stayed at his house, because we were so scared about what had just happened, and we really just could not face sleeping there that night. Another time I have been in the kitchen and my boyfriend rang the buzzer, but just before he rang the buzzer I put some pasta on to my heater, onto my hob, and basically it was boiling. Like, I watched it boil and I thought, right, by the time he buzzes, I'm going to be able to buzz him in, run back to the pasta, and it won't like overspill. I was literally gone for about 5-10 seconds. I run back in and I saw the pasta had like stopped bubbling. I looked and I saw that the dial was completely off. And you know when you stand there or you sit there and you think, did I turn it on? Like, literally I stood there for about a good 10 minutes thinking, did I actually like turn this on or off? But I know for a fact that I did turn it on before I left that room, and then the next thing I know, it's off. This story I'm going to try and be a bit more quiet about, because my dad doesn't know about it and I don't want him to know about it, because it was very scary. Me and my boyfriend were cooking dinner, and obviously we have to wash up, and I offered, for the only time ever, guys, to wash up the plates, and of course this had to happen to me. So I'm standing in the kitchen washing up the dishes, and I'm looking outside the window. The next thing I know, so I just want to say this because a lot of people questioned me about this, but I know the difference between a whisper and someone speaking outside. A whisper sounds like this, and someone speaking outside sounds like this, but then a little bit lower. But a whisper, I'm not being funny, I can tell the difference between a whisper and someone speaking. I was washing up the dishes and I was looking out the window, and the next thing that happened, I had something or someone whisper in my ear, and they said, look outside. Obviously I was already looking outside, so I was very confused by that statement. I dropped the plate in the sink and I fell to the floor, and I covered my ears, and I started shaking again like I did before in my mum's house. I pushed myself, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I pushed myself into the corner of my kitchen, and I was shaking back and forth, and I was just screaming for Harry, because obviously it really fucking scared the shit out of me. The funny thing, my boyfriend, who I thought would sweep me off my feet and carry me to my safety of my room, walked in, and after I told him what happened, his face was like, well, what the fuck are you still doing in here? And he ran and left me. Like, he ran and he left me. And clearly after this incident we left my house again. Ever since that point I am really terrified about being in my kitchen for long periods of time, because I really do not like it. Obviously a lot of things have happened in my kitchen. So sometimes when we'd been cooking, like, my dog would sit at the kitchen door and she'd stare down the corridor into the living room and just start barking, which I know dogs bark at anything, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, the living room lights are not on and she just stands there barking at the living room. I get a lot of cold air in my bedroom, and by cold air I mean like cold patches or like movement of cold air, and I can feel it on my foot right now. I've had loads of different times when I felt this cold air. I felt very uneasy, like there's something else there. But there was this one particular time that actually made me laugh. I was laying in bed with my dog and I was reading my Kindle, and the next thing I know is my hand literally went ice cold. Like, it was absolutely freezing. And obviously I was holding my Kindle like that, so I swapped my hands and I thought, I'm going to roll over to the other side, like, so I swapped sides of the bed with my dog. Then this cold air shifted to where I was sitting. So at this point I wasn't scared, at this point I was pissed off, because I'd clearly moved from that space to get away from the cold, but the cold had followed me. What I said next was just purely out of anger, because I thought, this is my room now, okay, and I want to be warm, I don't want to be cold reading my Kindle. So basically I looked to where the cold air was and I just said, will you fuck off? And I kid you not, guys, the cold air disappeared. Like, I'm not even making this shit up, it literally disappeared. And I was just like, that's me reading my Kindle again. They are just some of the big things that have like kind of occurred. There are so many different things that have occurred, but too many to put into a video like this. I don't want it to be too long, I just want to put some key things out there. The other key things is that things go missing in my home and they turn up in very peculiar places. So I recently got a new phone, and basically they come with new headphones and charger and everything like that. Literally after 2 weeks after having this phone, my headphones, after staying at my house for one night, went missing, and I went on kind of a rampage and kind of started blaming everyone for nicking my new headphones, when in reality no poor sod did. But then the strangest thing happened. My dad found them behind our bin in the kitchen. Like, I really don't know why they would be in the bin, behind the bin in the kitchen, because I would have never taken my headphones in the kitchen. I'm not in there long enough to have my headphones in the kitchen. That had been a two week gap that no one had seen these headphones, and then they just boom turned up. A situation where I've had some tweezers go missing. Now they're big tweezers, not the little tiny ones, the big, you know, silver clangy ones, the ones if you drop you're gonna hear them hit the floor. I literally lost them for like a good 2 weeks again. I'm just realising that these gaps are 2 weeks gaps. Oh my god. These tweezers, this was just the weirdest thing, because I just want to say this, that I never take my tweezers anywhere with me. I have a little portable pair that I keep in my makeup bag, which I never really use, but I leave my tweezers every single time at home. In the gym, okay, and I've just had a shower and I'm pulling everything out ready to get ready for work. And then what clings on the floor, and I look down, and literally right there on the floor are my silver fucking metal tweezers. Okay guys, that's basically my short kind of my life with the paranormal activity kind of thing. I know it's kind of quick and not much, but there is going to be more in my third video, and obviously I didn't want these to be too long. I'm hoping you are liking this Halloween that's going to continue for another week. Don't forget to like and subscribe guys, and I will be back next Sunday with another spooky video.